All right. Okay, so we're going to call the meeting to order. I do have one addition, the Clean Foundation Thriving Forest proposal. Any other additions this evening? Okay, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda with the one addition.
Moved. Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, the agenda is approved. First up, we do have a gallery presentation. We have Terry Smith, who's here representing Destination Cape Breton Association. So Terry, I know you've been here before, but our gallery presentations allow for 15 minutes for your presentation and Q&A. So without further ado, thank you for coming, and we'll hand things over to you.
Great, thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Good to see you again. And try to talk fast and keep the 15 minutes.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Is it this one? Oh, sorry. Just wanted to start out, just last time I was here, we were talking about the marketing levy and getting your approval to move that forward. So just since that's happened, as of January 1st, the 3% rate has been applied, and it now applies to all fixed roof accommodations. We've developed a new reporting platform called Check-in Analytics that is being used by most of the operators. Still some onboarding coming with that. One thing that's new that just happened a couple of weeks ago that we're still working out what the logistics are going to be, but I think we have a clear picture, is the province recently passed a piece of legislation that's going to require short-term rental platforms like Airbnb, Vrbo, and so forth, that they will have to collect the levy instead of the hosts, and then they have to remit it directly to the municipalities. So that makes the administration very much easier, because there are about 1,000 across the island short-term rentals that were kind of added to the accommodation inventory. And we're working on getting a levy education position established. This is something that we're looking at pre-pandemic, but it's something that we definitely still see is needed. I just wanted to start out just to show you quickly some 2023 results. This is our website traffic for the last 5 years. As you can see, and just so you're aware, the vast majority of the marketing that we do is driving people to our website where they can find out about all of the great things to do around the island. And as you can see in the chart, there's a good growth. We hit a record 1.4 million visits to our site in 2022. Last year was a little bit lower, but we took a bit of a change to our strategy. We're trying to get better quality traffic. So our sessions were down about 17%, but clicks from our website to operator websites were up 120%. And when that happens, it's a good indicator that people are serious about making their travel plans. And just so you know, so for this year to date, our website traffic is up about 21%, and clicks to operator websites are up 60% again. So we're still heading in that quality traffic direction. In terms of room nights sold, one of the key items we look at in terms of did the marketing translate to people coming to visit, they were down slightly. They were down 1% from 2022, still well above 2019 levels, which was great to see. A couple of things happened. We were actually from January to the end of June, we were pacing ahead 13%, and then the summer took a bit of a downturn, and a couple of things happened. So we had wildfires on the mainland, and then a flood on the mainland, and every time that happens, national media, sometimes international media, is creating a message out there that Nova Scotia's on fire or underwater, and we get cancellations. Our operators get cancellations. We saw it definitely happen last summer. The other thing too is we had probably for most of the island the wettest summer on record, especially August. I think every weekend in August it rained, And that means that people that are in our nearby markets like Halifax or Moncton, if they look out the window, they're going to plan to come. If they can cancel and come a different time, they will look at doing that. And the other thing is the cost of living, just with inflation over the last couple of years and higher interest rates, things like that, it eats into people's disposable income. When their disposable income is impacted, their plans to travel is impacted. I'll jump into this year's strategy. And in terms of the economic projection from economists, they're saying this year will be one of slow growth. Not no growth, but slow growth, just a 0.5 percentage point increase. And we're kind of seeing that a little bit as well. And just a quote there from Destination Canada, that basically inflation and higher interest rates will continue to impact disposable incomes in 2024. The good news is that as we get to the latter part of this year, it's supposed to start getting better, and as we go into 2025, 2026, we pick up a bit more momentum. In our strategy for it's actually a 3-year strategy that we've just developed. There's a couple of themes, and we're leaning really into digital automation. There's a lot of talk about artificial intelligence, and we're looking at utilizing that as much as we can. But we also want to maintain who we are as an island, and our brand is all about those authentic human connections. And so we're countering moving into the digital space more and more with trying to emphasize that human connection. So you'll see that in some of the things we talk about. Tourism employment in Nova Scotia. So the last 2 years we were looking at significant labor shortages. The good news is for our tourism industry in the province, most of our industry has recovered. The one area where it hasn't is in food and beverage. So they estimate that across the province, there's a gap of about 3,800 positions that are going unfilled in food and beverage. And CBU did some research into this with operators around the island, and they said the #1 unfilled position on the island is cooks. I just got an email actually this morning from an operator in Ingonish who was basically looking for help because they've tried to hire 3 different cooks and still don't have any. So anyway, that's what we're faced with. Just a few things in our strategy highlights. One of the things we did the past year, we partnered with CBU and Cape Breton Partnership and a couple of other partners on an economic impact assessment for the tourism industry on the island. Part of that assessment, they did a look at scenarios in terms of future tourism growth. And there's a couple of things that they highlighted that they said basically, if we could extend the average length of stay from 4.4 days, which it currently is according to Tourism Nova Scotia stats, currently is for Cape Breton Island. If we can extend that just by 1 day to 5.4 days on average, that would translate into $125 million more per year into our economy. Growing year-round tourism, if we can increase tourism between November and April by 12%, that would translate into $70 million per year. And attracting high-value visitors, people that will spend a little bit more, would increase the average visitor spend by 10%, would equate to $58 million per year. So we took all of these scenarios and built them into our goals within our strategy for the year. There's 6 of them. Enhancing the brand as a bucket list destination, one of the top islands. Grow visitation with an emphasis on shoulder and winter season, growing it responsibly. Increasing that average length of stay by 1 day, increasing the average visitor spend by 10%, elevating the quality of the visitor experience, and becoming recognized as a truly sustainable and inclusive destination. So I'm just going to jump into some of the highlights in each of those areas. Enhancing the brand, we've got a new campaign that we've launched. If you watch CTV News Live at 5, or if you're on YouTube, you might see it pop up from time to time, or Facebook. But we've got a great new campaign that's really focused on connections, that human connection thing, and the connection with the place with our cultures and so forth. So look for that. We also are working on a concierge network. This is basically bringing all of our visitor information centers together across the island and having them serve as a way to provide that human connection again to visitors. More to come on that, but it's just in the initial phases right now. And an official Cape Breton Island Ambassador Program. So with that program, CBU has actually developed an online ambassador training program. We're looking at developing a network around the folks that go through that program that we can then deploy in different ways to, again, reinforce that human connection. Growing year-round visitation, next one. With the changes to the marketing levy, we have a bigger budget, so most of that will be used on the expansion of the marketing program. We'll have more advertising, we'll be creating more content as well. We're going to have an increased events focus. We're actually in the process of hiring a new events sales manager. We're also going to look into the development of new events as well on the island. Continuing to develop our winter and our shoulder seasons. Just this weekend, we launched our third year of waterfall season, which is a spring initiative that we've been developing. There was a kickoff event at Big Spruce. Well, the first there were hikes all across the island, including Emery's Brook Falls as one of our featured waterfalls. Hikes all across the island that people came out to. There were hundreds of people took part in those group hikes. And then they converged on Big Spruce Brewing for an event there. And I just saw an aerial photo, and it was like there was no parking to be had. It was packed, so it was great to see. Another thing, increased air access we're working on. Part of that will be with Sydney Airport, where they have right now they've this past year had about less than half the seat capacity of pre-pandemic times. But the other side of this is we've had some great discussions with Dave at the Port Hawkesbury, Alan J. McCachran Airport, and so one of the things that we think is possible here is to look at, it might be seasonal, but to look at commercial flights that could come in, for example, from Toronto. We've got some research that was done before that basically says that you split the island down in the middle, everybody west of Badek is not going to fly out of Sydney. You probably all know this, so you'd probably drive to Halifax. So the same thing in terms of visitors that come here. We think that there's an opportunity to provide a seasonal commercial route. So we're going to be working on that. Increasing length of stay. Far too many of our visitors that come here, and this factors into that 4.4 average days that we currently have. But there's a lot of people that are coming here that are thinking that the Cabot Trail is the only thing to do. They come here, they plan like 2 nights on the island. One day they'll be doing the east side of the Cabot Trail, the next day the west, or vice versa. And so we're going to really be focusing on trying to get people to think of, you've got to come here for 7 days or more. Another thing that we're really working on is capturing as many events that are happening around the island, and we're developing both on our website, but on an app that I'll speak to in a second. We're trying to be the definitive place where people, visitors, but also residents could find out about events that are happening. We've been doing community meetings across the island. We've done 14, including one here. We've got 3 more to go. And part of the discussion is talking about the events that happen in each community on an annual basis. Our visitors would love to take part in, community dinners or things that you may not always think would be designed for tourists, but it's an activity. Kyle Sear at the Alan J. McCachran Airport was telling me he took a group of people down curling here one time on an open night, and they absolutely loved it, an experience that they didn't expect to do. But part of the allure of Cape Breton Island for our visitors is getting to meet locals and spend time with them, learn about what life is like here. The other thing, Travel Companion, we're developing a mobile app. It's being designed so that all the content is downloaded when you download the app, so that it works even if there's no service. And AI is a portion of that as well. So if somebody is out, say they're hiking a trail, after they get off the trail, they can look at the app and find out, where are my options for a place to eat around here after they eat. It could be telling them, what are my options for things to do this evening, that sort of thing. But it will learn their preferences and then make suggestions based on their preferences and where they are on the island. So that should be released soon. Increasing the average spend, working with communities and tourism operators to build their evening economies. I know my time is passing, so I'm going to hurry up. But one of the things is in many communities around the island, there's just not a lot to do in the evenings. Port Hawkesbury is better than most communities, so it's not so much an issue here, I don't think. Targeting more of those high-value guests that I've mentioned before in marketing campaigns, and implementing a booking engine into the website and the Travel Companion app. That's something that we'll be looking at for 2025. Elevating the visitor experiences is something that we work on with partners on an ongoing basis, but we're going to continue to do that. I mentioned the workforce issue with food and beverage. We're putting together a task force to look at solutions that we can pursue there. Growing marine tourism. We work with a couple of consultants who are experts in the marine tourism area. I understand they just met with some folks about the Port Hawkesbury waterfront just a few weeks ago. So looking at how Port Hawkesbury can be tied into the overall strategy. And implementing an investment attraction program. There's many areas on the island where there are needs or there are opportunities that are currently going unmet. Just one example is Marguerite. Over the last couple of years, they lost the Marguerite Lodge, which is now staff housing for Cabot. Salmon Pools Inn turned into a private residence. There's another inn just closed after this winter season. The owner's just retiring. And so over the past couple of years, they've lost about 50 bedrooms that they used to have in just the Marguerite area. And so they need more accommodation in their community. But if there's nobody stepping forward to build it within the community, maybe we've got to attract some investment to come in. So, and it's something that we're seeing happening around the island in smaller ways, but we just have to ramp it up. And the final portion, being sustainable and inclusive. We've got an application in right now to ACOA to develop a sustainable tourism plan. And there are a number of initiatives that we're looking at rolling out to industry partners around the island in terms of equity, diversity, and inclusion training. And the full strategy, I can actually send this to Melissa to forward to all of you, but it's available on our website, destinationcaperette.com.
It's right on time. Couldn't have timed it any more perfectly. So thank you for your presentation. We'll open up the floor if there are any questions or comments. Perhaps we'll start with Councillor McCrory.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Terry, for the presentation. You had on the slide there, visitor economy, future growth. No, you had levy education position. That's what I took. So you said there's a need to still have somebody in that sort of capacity, and
Yeah.
Just elaborate on that a little.
So I'll say levy education position is
His code for.
well, there's a need for enforcement. The challenge is that most of our municipalities on the island are smaller municipalities and don't have the capability to be chasing people to pay for the levy payments. But this person wouldn't have a real strong enforcement like the municipalities have the bylaw, so they wouldn't have any teeth to do anything, but they can inform people, like, do you realize you're behind on your remittance, that sort of thing. They could then, if it's an ongoing thing, then go back to the municipality and recommend next steps that could be taken as a result of that. So it's not an enforcement position per se, but it's to help people get up to speed with, especially the newer operators that now have to collect the levy, make sure that they're all doing it properly and that the levies are coming in.
Just one other question. At one point, there was conversations about the Gateway project for Rotary, and I just wondered, have you been involved with that in any capacity or in your capacity with the Destination Cape Breton?
Yeah, we were a partner in that, and I understand the project's been completed, the work of it, and I still think there's more work to be done. From what I understand, there's some advocacy work to do with the province in terms of moving the initiative forward.
Great. Okay, great. Thank you.
Councilor Jacob?
No, just thanks, Terry, for your presentation. Interesting as always.
Thanks, Councilor. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Terry, for the presentation, and as always, good to hear all the good news.
Thank you.
Councilor Coyle?
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation, but I do have a couple of questions.
Sure.
The first one is about the shoulder season and the winter tourism. Is there a plan for the winter tourism to attract the private jets to communicate Breton that are coming in the summer for golf? And some of the things I'm hearing from them is they would like to be able to come here for a winter ice fishing excursion. They'd like to be able to come have a guided hunt. And I think that's some pretty easy things to make happen. You know, we have a fish hatchery just down the road.
Yep.
We have lots of lakes up in the Highlands that freeze in the winter.
Yes.
I think that's, you know, that could be something that would be fairly easy to move. And with that, then, you know, your hotels on the Cabot Trail won't have to close in the winter. And the other question I had was to do with the Gateway project that Councilor McCrory had mentioned. Is there something that's going to come out to the municipalities anytime in the near future to let us know where that's at and what some of the plans are?
Okay, so on the first one, and this is something that I've talked to with Dave Morgan and Kyle Sear at LJ McCacken Airport. Absolutely, there's an opportunity to have private jets come here. Part of it is getting the product. There's experiences. We need the ancillary product that's going to keep them here. Cabot is not open in the winter for just one example, but there are some things happening. So in Cheticamp, I'm actually a frequent user of the airport here. There's a developer who's developing a high-end hotel just north of Cheticamp. They're planning to open year-round and definitely want to have winter experiences. And they will be attracting, you know, some of that market that would be flying in on jets. Cape Smoky, same sort of thing. They're just at the beginning stages of what they're planning to develop. They're going to be appealing to not just higher end, a range of visitors, but they definitely would be having some experiences that would appeal to those folks as well. So and some would like to come and, you know, do things that just other people do, go snowshoeing or go snowmobiling, things like that. So there's definitely an opportunity to look at there. So work hasn't been done. It's just been preliminary to the discussions, but once we get a little bit more of the supporting product, I think we can definitely dive into that. As for the Gateway project, so it's the Cape Breton Partnership that really took the lead on that. And I just got an email I think last week that they said the project had concluded. I don't think I received the final report yet, but I know that the town as one of the partners should receive the final report too, but I'd say look for that soon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Terry, for your time. We really appreciate it. And,
My pleasure.
yeah, I'm sure we'll be in touch soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
So we'll move on to council reports on On the assigned committees, we'll start with Councillor Paul.
The only thing I have to report was I attended SFM in Bedeck.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor McIver.
No report, meetings coming up at the end of the month.
Ooh, side of the table has been easy, okay. Councillor McDougall.
Not too much either. We had a Wall of Fame meeting, a Best Straight meeting, and I didn't attend, but I got brought up to speed on it. And we have a development meeting. We have a development meeting with there's a development meeting. This month, last week.
It's all blending together.
So one after the other, yeah. It's my report, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. Councillor McCory.
Yeah, so as Councilor McDougall said, it's the Festival of Straight meeting on April 22nd, a Planning Advisory Committee meeting on April 25th. We dealt with an exciting project regarding the call center, a development that's proposed for there. We had a meeting today, May 21st, regarding a development project from Memorial Drive in Port Hawkesbury, which is very exciting. Straight Area Transit had a board meeting on the 26th of April. We had a meeting with Greg Sewell, who's the Director of Transportation for the province for rural transits. And it was a meeting with Councillor McLennan, myself, our manager, and Keith McDonald to discuss fixed routes and dial-a-ride options. So the municipality in Inverness is wanting to have some conversations about that. Our development committee, we met on May 14th, and it was an open sort of conversation meeting with people just brainstorming ideas of initiatives that we could pursue. And one of the main things that kind of came out of that was conversation and interest in looking for information around cooperative housing. Hipperton South Recruiting for Health, we met on May 16th at the Straight Richmond Hospital, and that was the first in-person meeting since COVID. So that was the first time we've gotten together. Some really fantastic news. Angela Marr, who's the facility manager, just provided an update with the significant staffing improvements at the Straight since January of last year, January 23. And surprisingly, I learned that they've hired 22 new nurses at the Straight Richmond Hospital. They have a new social worker that's there at the hospital. They have a new pharmacy tech, a med lab tech. They have health support aides that assist people that are in the waiting area, waiting to be seen by doctor if they're needing. This is an issue that's come up in hospitals across the province. So anyhow, that was very good to hear that news. And we also had a presentation. Sorry, but I just go on a little bit about this. But we had a presentation by a gentleman, Steve Chatham, who's the manager of primary health care for the Straight Richmond Hospital area. And again, he was talking about positions that have been established in Port Hawkesbury. There's a new nurse practitioner being starting at the Port Hawkesbury Medical Center in September. Another one is coming next May. They have a new LPN at the medical center and a new care coordinator at the medical center. So that was all very, very positive news. Just as an aside, the medical center, which was the Island Gateway Center, has been renamed, and it's now the Port Hawkesbury Medical Center.
Perfect.
That's a good thing.
Mm.
Eastern County Regional Library, we had a meeting on May 16th. The highlight of that was among other things was approval of our budget for 24-25. We've had budget meetings April 25th, May 7th, the 13th, and the 21st. And then we had a very good meeting on May 17th, which was last Friday here in Port Hawkesbury at the Civic Center with Minister Laura, the Deputy Minister, or the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, along with the Deputy Minister, the Associate Deputy Minister, and the Executive Director. And we had close an hour and a half, an hour and 45-minute meeting, which I thought was very productive. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And of course, you've all received a copy of my committee goal report. And as always, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those at any time. So thanks everyone for your report. We'll move on now to CAO reports. Over to you, Terry.
Yes, your worship. So first on the list is facilities. Is finance. So I'd ask Erin if she'd like to make any comments with respect to the report.
I hear you, your worship. Just as Councillor McCrory has mentioned, there was significant budget discussions during the month of May. So yeah, we did meet for our last meeting would have been on Friday, May 17th. And we've scheduled another meeting for May 27th. So that's on Monday of next week. Just on the annual audit, an update on that. This is on the 2023 annual audit. We did receive the updated report from the consultant, which was kind of the holdup on last year, was getting that report because of all the work the consultant had to do regarding asset retirement obligations. So we did receive the report on May 15th, and that's been provided to the auditor. So once the auditor has completed their review and is satisfied with that report, we'll be scheduling our audit committee meeting. And again, we'll be scheduling our audit fieldwork for the 23-24 year, hopefully following the completion of the 2022-23 year, but anticipating fieldwork to start towards the end of June. On the water utility side, as part of our budget process, we're looking at purchasing a new handheld, which reads the radio units in the meters. So we've had numerous conversations with our IT folks, with our current provider of meters and support person for our current technology on options for the new technology that's out there right now for reading meters. We are scheduling a discussion with our accounting software because this handheld has to integrate with our accounting software in order to be able to bill appropriately and adequately. So we've reached out to them to determine a date that we can sit down with them to ensure that there's compatibility with what we think is the preferred option. So once we do that, we'll be moving forward, hopefully with our preferred option, ensuring it's compatible, and likely we'll have that system in place in September. And just, yeah, so our this time of year for finance is heavily budget year end and tax and water bills. So just a note that our first interim tax bills for 2024-25 were mailed out in April, as well quarterly utility bill was mailed out in early May. And happy to take any questions if there are any.
Any questions for Erin? Back over to you, Terry.
Yes, your worship. Gordy Snook, General Manager of Facilities Operations and Parks, is unable to attend this evening. He's working, but on a building issue tonight. So he did produce a very detailed report that you've had a chance to review. I won't go through in detail. I'll certainly be able to answer any questions that you have on the items that Gordy had prepared.
Councilor Dougal.
Through you, your worship, just a comment. I'd just like to congratulate and thank Terry and Gordy and Michelle for the work that's being done on the ball field. It's good. And I was over there looking at the other day where they drilled the holes and get everything spaced out, and it looks good. It's very professional start. Thank you.
Any other questions for Terry on the facilities report?
Your worship, yes. So just with respect to the Garland inspection report, and Gordy included that in the package. So we have a rating, an overall rating of poor for what they inspected, and I don't know if I missed it, but Terry, through you, your worship, Terry, can you explain or elaborate on what the plan is going forward to address the issues or deficiencies that have been identified?
Sure. So we took in a building science expert to look at some issues that we're experiencing in the building, and some we've noticed that there's air infiltration in a few areas. The gymnasium area was one of those areas, and there's another couple of areas. So they've done some infrared scans. They're coming back, that's where Gordy is this evening, so he's with them. We're looking at doing some more intrusive tests in the wall to see if we can locate where the building envelope issue is. We're also doing a scan on the roof. So you need a warm day and a cold evening. So later on this evening, we'll be up on the roof doing a scan on the roof to see if there's any, if we have any wet spots or issues that we have to be concerned about. So it's a modern way of looking at a building. Yeah, some areas marked 4, but that's good. We found them. That's all we care about is trying to find it. That's the hardest part, is trying to find the problem. Once we do that, the fix is sometimes relatively easy, but we've identified that, and we're able to get the recommendations and move on from there.
So looking at particular windows and that, so is that something that is a way forward in terms of mediating things, is replacing windows,
Sometimes it's just a matter of resealing.
resealing? Yeah.
So we have to wait. And sometimes we'll pull a window out and then reinstall. The windows aren't that old to replace. So sometimes there's thermal bridging. There's a number of things that can happen between the window and the building envelope. And we have to wait to see exactly what it is. We know that there's heat loss, excessive heat loss in a few areas. Now there's an area where we have to find out what we have to do to fix that.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you. Back over to you, Terry.
Thanks, and I'll hand it over to Michelle for a brief update on marketing, tourism, and recreation. Are you able to connect, Michelle?
I think I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Great. Through you, Your Worship, good evening, everyone. I'm just going to cover some of the main highlights regarding my report and just touch on a couple of things that have, I guess, come up since I submitted my report. Just on the, and forgive me, I have a bit of a cold. We have some new trail maps coming from the Strait Area Trails Association. The group made some updates to the map, and we were running out of the tearaway maps anyway. So we were successful in making those changes to the map. So we have some brand new ones coming up here soon. They've been ordered. And I know they're still taking applications for summer students. Regarding recreation programs, I believe all of our swim classes are full at the Strait Area Pool, and we've actually started monitoring waitlist numbers for all of our programs, but swimming in particular. I believe we had somewhere in the range of 43 people on a wait list for various levels of swimming, and we were able to make some changes and offer extra classes to accommodate and eliminate the waiting list. So we've started just monitoring those so that we can see which ones are our most popular classes and which ones we most likely have to accommodate in future. And for the month of May, we've been encouraging folks to get out and clean up the community, and I'd really like to thank the Strait Area Filipino Society for getting out on in the Old Sydney Road and Ryan's Road area and cleaning out. I think it was about 20 or so bags of trash. So I just wanted to send a huge thank you out to that group. It's very much appreciated. As for summer students, I believe between our regular summer student positions and the summer camp, we had somewhere in the range of 40 applicants, about 20 or so being from the town of Port Hawkesbury. So Gordy and I do plan to interview all of the applicants for the summer student programs sometime at the beginning of June. So that's coming up. And as you all know, but maybe not as everyone in the room knows, on September 6th, we'll be hosting the Cape Breton Eagles for a preseason game versus the St. John Sea Dogs. This is a really exciting opportunity for the Civic Center and for the town. Very, very excited about it and looking to get the community involved, of course, with that. We actually have all of our skyboxes are full already. So that's just it speaks to how excited people are to get out and come to that event. And the All Wheels Park, we hosted a fundraiser with the Relative Show, and we're able to raise about $2,000 for the All Wheels Park to get that project going. So that's really exciting. And just a couple of funding updates that weren't included in my last report. And since I've submitted this one, but we did receive a $5,000 grant from Enbridge to support Granville Green, and also $4,500 from Nova Scotia Festivals and Events. So that's wonderful, and those two are new. And that is pretty much the highlights. Everything else is included in my report, but I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Any questions for Michelle at this time from the council?
No, thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Everyone's good on this side? Okay, back over to you, Terry.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. So the last one is engineering and public works. Again, there's a fair amount of detail on most of the projects. There's still some significant projects that we're working on that haven't included there, but so updates on that, and be glad to take questions.
Any questions for Terry at this time? Go ahead.
Just one through you, Your Worship. The Works Department building is still on schedule for July for the delivery.
Yes, the steel structure siding and building envelope is set to arrive in July. And we're on the other tender is still on schedule to meet the demands for foundations and other work to coincide with that delivery.
Perfect, thank you. You answered the second question.
Through you, Your Worship, to Terry, more for the public's knowledge. Can you give us an update on the Old City Road sidewalks? And is this warranty work that's being done?
Sure. So the report contains projects at all stages. So first project we just talked about, Public Works, is in the one part of it awarded, the other part in tender. Old Sydney Road project is a project that was implemented last year. So there was weather constraints when we were completing that. So we knew in the spring that they would have to come back and complete the job. As well, when through the work, as with all projects, we do detailed inspections of the work that was done. So it's not warranty work, it's actually it's work required under contract. So there was issues that were raised with respect to meeting the specification and drawing requirements. Bryland Construction were on that as soon as weather permitted them to do that, and so they've come and are in the process of correcting the contract deficiencies that we identified. We had our engineer back today reviewing some of those items, and so that list has been updated. There's still more work to do. Specifically, there is on concrete and on asphalt, so all the asphalt rehabilitation is left to get done. So cuts and that prep has been prepared, ready for asphalt this week.
Thank you.
Any follow-up questions?
That's good.
Okay, thanks, Terry. Does that conclude the CAO reports?
Yes, it does.
Great, we're going to move on to agenda item number 7, other business. Our first item is ArtCon Tattoo Convention. Terry, did you want to give us an update on that?
Sure. I haven't been too good at moving the slides here.
That's
so
okay. Here we go.
you missed some pretty nice pictures.
We all have them in our package.
So the ArtCon Tattoo Convention, as you remember, we had a presentation on this event that's to happen at the end of August. Organizers have moved forward with the event. It's being fully advertised, everything being put in place. The down payment for the rental of the facility has been, is in place now, and plans are moving forward. This is an inaugural event, and there's hopes for that this event will bring in visitors to our town and to increase economic activity during that time. If you remember, during that presentation, there was a request for consideration of us waiving rental fees or some of the rental fees. So Michelle has had a look at, Michelle and Gordy have been working with the organizers. She looked at a number of things, including the cost. We're going to have direct costs of putting this on. It's going to be primarily held in the arena portion of the facility. So there's ice cover and other prep in the arena. There's some lost revenue that we have to consider. But a significant rental event in the amount of about $16,000, almost $17,000. So the organizer are asking for some consideration of a reduction in that for this first time event. The recommendation after looking at the work that Michelle had prepared is to recommend an amount that's equal to waiving the days for setup. So when they're not actually running, they still need space to set up the rooms. It'll be an elaborate event from everything that we see. So the recommendation is will equate to that, which also equates to about 18% of the fee. So what staff is recommending is to is that we support that event with a reduction of 18% of the rental costs.
Any questions or comments?
Through your worship. We talked about our costs to get ready for this event, for the ice coverage and whatnot, and our potential lost revenue. In years past, I don't remember the arena being all that busy in late August. I think that this event is potentially bringing in 5,000-6,000 people over a few days to the area. To make it successful, I would like to see that 18% maybe bumped up a little bit. I just checked the math, and it's really not a large number to try to help the young entrepreneurs in town here that's trying to put this on. Since he presented to us, I've done a bit of research on these conventions, and they can get quite large. And if he's got the opportunity to make the first one successful, I don't think he'll have to come back again looking for a reduction. I'll definitely support at least the 18% on this. And again, congratulate Donnie on this endeavor.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Is council comfortable with us moving this forward for consideration at our public meeting?
Yes, your worship. What does 18%? What's that equal?
Sure. Terry?
3,000.
3,000. And the full
28,800.
rental is 16 to 17,000.
Yes.
I'd support what Councillor Coyne is saying, that this could be a significant event, and I think we should support it as much as we can, and I'd be supportive of looking to increase that amount from 18% to whatever the rest of the council obviously would agree to, but I don't know if 25% is too much, but I just put that there for conversation.
For consideration, Councillor Coyne, is that the number you were thinking?
Very close. I was thinking about 22%, which roughly comes out to $3,500. So basically almost $1,000 more than the recommendation. But 25% I'm okay with too. I mean, we're not talking about a whole lot of difference.
Terry, is there any information, maybe you can give us a little, like, what the 18% was predicated on, just covering our losses?
No, so first of all, we didn't want to make a recommendation where the town would be losing money, so we have to spend money for this event to occur. So that's our first consideration. So, direct costs are probably around the $5,000 mark. So, there's a fair amount of flexibility there, and then we're just trying to figure out, like in looking at other events, what would you possibly consider? And that's something that we may consider, is that those setup days, although there's still, the space is out of commission. However, that's something that we could possibly waive fairly easily.
Okay.
So it was really hard to figure out what's an appropriate amount. But it'd be good to get the wish of council now in committee of whole before we take it to.
100%. No, absolutely. Yeah, I guess I'm just curious from a staff perspective, if like between the 20 to 25%, if that's still going to be, that's not going to kind of put us over the edge?
No.
In the capacity?
No.
Okay, perfect. Deputy Mayor?
Just a question through you.
Sure.
I heard 25 and I heard 22.
25.
Be nice to know exactly what you propose to go through to the public meeting.
Yeah. I guess it's good to have the conversation now in terms of what we'd like to move forward. So what's your recommendation?
I'm open to
I'm quite fine with 25%.
25, you want to put 30?
Councilor McDougall?
Well, I don't think there's a motion on the floor, so.
No, it's
No.
just conversation. We're
Just
gonna move forward.
conversation, so I'll discuss it when the motion's from the floor.
Okay, that's fine with me. Mr. Tradition. We'll wait till we have a motion on the floor for Councillor
So I think we have,
McDougall to enter into debate officially. No problem. Any other comments or questions at this point? Okay, we will move that conversation forward and have further discussion in public meeting. Anything else, Terry, that you need to update us on that item?
No, Your Worship.
I think you already shared the dates. I think they're
Yeah.
August.
24th to 26th, I
Yeah,
think.
perfect.
Or 23rd, 24th.
23rd, 24th, 25th of August.
Sounds great. You guys will have appointments to get your tattoos
I
done.
will.
Thank you.
23rd.
Okay, our next item under other business is alternative voting bylaw. Terry, so you can give us a brief summary of that.
Yes, Your Worship. So council's passed a motion that putting into effect a telephone electronic voting system that mirrors the paper ballot system. In order to do that, as we had done in the last election, we have to have a bylaw in place. So what we've done, primarily work with Melissa, working with Aaron, looking at similar type bylaws that have been used around the province. There is an AMA template that's in place, and there are some good examples as well. So there was a draft bylaw that was presented to you in your package for review. We'd like to, first, if there's any questions on that, would be happy to take them. There is some time sensitivity around that. So if it's the wish of council, we can take this to first reading, which sets sort of the clock going that we'll have any concerns raised within the next 3 weeks, and to what's a planned special meeting on June 18th for a number of issues. But first of all, I'd ask for any questions with respect to the alternative voting bylaw that you've received.
Okay, thank you, Terry. We'll open up the floor to any questions for Terry or comment. We can start on this side. Councilor McCory first and go to Councilor Dubois.
No, thank you, Your Worship. I have no questions. Thank you.
No, I read staff narrative, it's wonderful,
Okay, perfect. Councilor Point?
Nothing.
so we'll breathe.
It's, oh, well, I don't think we have to go to the deputy mayor. Councilor McDougall said it all. Once the S-Mall gets dropped,
That's it.
we're just gonna mosey on. Thank you for that.
No, I looked over it, Your Worship, it looks good.
Okay, absolutely, yes it is. We'll move on then, Terry. Thank you for that. Budget 2024, 2025. So Aaron, did you want to?
I think we're going to defer that.
We'll defer that.
We had added that in anticipation of a number of things that could happen, but we're deferring it to the next meeting.
Okay, I wasn't sure if Aaron wanted to just do, I guess, just outline our next meeting date, just for the benefit of the gallery.
Sure.
I think we have it locked in, Aaron, do we?
Okay, yeah, so next meeting date is May 27th, Monday, May 27th, in the boardroom at 5 p.m.
Fantastic, thanks, Aaron. That was easy. Moving on. We have recommendations from Planning Advisory Committee, Terry.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So there's two fairly major recommendations coming from the PAC, Planning Advisory Committee, on that will affect developments. So thorough review through our PAC, and we're hoping to take these two recommendations forward to special meeting tonight, again for first reading, which will set the clock in motion and identify the public consultation. The first one that we're asking you to consider is with respect to commercial restricted zone C4. And so just a summary, request to amend the Port Hawkesbury planning, this is from the staff report, planning strategy and land use bylaw to allow a building supply sales business, retail sales, restaurant, clinics, warehouses, and outdoor storage in the commercial restricted C4 zone to relax architectural requirements for accessory buildings and amend signage provisions. So these are changes to the C4 zone, and the C4 zone is very restrictive. It was a zone created by previous councils to create a call center and then amended to include pharmaceutical production. And now we're asking a consideration to amend that zone again to enable the creation of a building supplies sales business. So that's the property we're talking about, is the old call center property. Fairly large property, about 12 acres. The conclusion from the staff is that amendments support the adaptive reuse of the former call center, reinvigorating a predominantly vacant site. This adds value for nearby community and residents of the wider area. Staff are recommending to approve, this is staff referred to as the Planning Commission staff, and supported by town staff, to approve the proposed amendments to the Town of Port Hawkesbury Municipal Planning Strategy and Land Use Bylaw, as outlined in the staff report. And that's the motion from PAC. And this is the motion for consideration. And it's basically repeating what I've just said.
Okay, thank you, Terry. Any comments or questions? Councillor Coyne and Councillor McCrory both represent us on the planning advisory.
Yeah, so through you, Your Worship, council has seen this already.
Yeah.
Planning Advisory Committee supports this. It's it's an opportunity for new development, new businesses, more jobs in the town. everything was positive from the planning advisory committee,
Great, no, that's great.
and the motion is there.
Okay, Councillor Ford, did you want to add anything?
No, thanks.
Okay, any questions from our non-planning advisory members?
You're looking for a decision on this tonight, I think.
We'll be moving it forward to our public meeting.
Okay.
That's if you don't have any side eye or objections, Deputy Mayor.
I may.
Okay, I guess we'll wait and see then. But everyone is comfortable moving this forward to a public meeting for consideration? Okay, Terry, the next item.
The next project is called the Memorial Drive project. So this project deals with the former Smith and Fraser property off Memorial Drive, off Reed Street. This is so you've seen our sewage treatment plant is there. That dog place is right beside that. So this is a residential development looking to establish on that property. It's a fairly large-scale residential development with an innovative idea to create housing. So they're in the development agreement stage, and in order to move the project forward, again, there would be first reading of the development agreement, which sets in place the public consultation date. And the time for reflection on those documents. So this is what it looks like the development is a two-phase development with 40 units on both developments for a total of 80 units. This is an example. So a portion of these units are already constructed. There's actually 3 of 4 fourplex units that are constructed as of this date. So they're modular builds that are being fabricated in Arishat right now, and will be moved to site if they're successful with the development agreement and some other activities that have to go into place as well for this to occur. So again, motion from Planning Advisory Committee today. There was significant movement on this file over the last week, and we were able to hold a PAC, have a presentation by Eastern District Planning, and then review by the Planning Advisory Committee and a motion from that committee recommending that we move forward with the development agreement.
Terry, you have more?
I'm just saying, again, this is what we're asking for to consider first reading. First reading will put the public hearing date of June 18th in place.
Okay, thank you, Terry. Any questions or comments? Maybe we'll start with both of our planning members. Councillor Coyne?
Through you, Your Worship. It was pretty exciting today to see the final plans of this development, and it's a very ambitious timeline from the developer. Like if these dates are met here, looking at potentially opening up 16 units by September. Obviously, it was very much supported from the Planning Advisory Committee.
Yes.
This goes along with what we've been saying for the last 3.5 years. It's a housing development, something a little outside the box. Sounds like the rentals are going to be affordable, and it's with full support from the Planning Advisory Committee.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McCord.
Yeah, Your Worship, no, I'm just really pleased to see that this project has been put forward to the town. As Councillor Coyne says, this council has identified housing as the priority, I'd say, for the community. And we've been looking, I'll say desperately, for people to come in and invest here and to do development. and to have this young person, an entrepreneur. And that's what we need. We need entrepreneurs, and that's how Port Hawkesbury got developed back in the 60s and early 70s, because of the efforts and work of local entrepreneurs. And so it's just really pleasing to see this gentleman wanting to do this, and it's not insignificant. It's a huge project, and just as Councillor Coyne said, and the timelines are aggressive. September, 16 housing units, and then I believe, Councillor Coyne, you correct me, the other 64 will be for phase 2, which would be, no?
No, so the remainder of the 40 units, the 2 phases, each phase is 40 units. So by
Right.
the end of 25, he wants to have 40 units open.
So the other 24 units. Okay, great. Yep, thanks for correcting that. So anyhow, 100% supportive of it.
I don't know how Councillor McDougall feels about you stealing his history lesson, but is there?
No, he's doing well.
Okay. I know you're usually a
I
historian.
would start naming some of the entrepreneurs.
You could.
Starting with your grandfather.
Yes, that's right,
who
Chicken
was
Joe.
a shoe- Very influential man in the town of Port Hawkesbury.
Of course. If you wanted your skates sharpened, you had to be nice
Well,
to him, right?
the power
belt.
of skate.
The power.
You got
You
more
want a
time.
Power Ranger skate sharpened.
I had
Deputy
to.
Mayor?
He's correct.
Yeah.
No, it's great to hear that. And I have no problem with it going forward.
Okay, fantastic. So we will move that forward to the public meeting. Anything else on that item, on the recommendations today?
Just one item I hadn't mentioned, there's
Sure.
an administrative issue that we have to deal with. So there's an existing development agreement with Smith and Fraser in place. In order for us to move forward with this one, that one has to be discharged.
Okay.
So that's why we've included, and to discharge the existing development agreement registered to the property.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, perfect. And everybody's good with moving that forward? Okay, thank you, Terry. Okay, so we do have one approved addition. It is the Clean Foundation Thriving Forest proposal. So back over to you, Terry, just to give us a little overview about that.
Yeah, Clean Foundations approached our Trails Committee, asking if the town would be interested in the installation of trees in our town. And their interest was primarily around woodland areas, is to upgrade our tree stands in that area. But the program is more directed at open areas now that need forestation, not in existing, not to augment or improve existing forested areas. So they reviewed the town areas, specifically town-owned properties, but other properties as well, and have made some recommendations. And I committed to take this forward for council review. So they're looking at a number of areas, and we'll just show them on the map. So one area is Prince Street Hill. So they're looking at sort of 2 areas. Can you see my cursor? Yeah. So recognize that this is a coasting area, and that would be there's an advantage to keeping part of this hill at least open. But they're suggesting that we plant along the slopes of Prince Street Park on both sides of an open area. The next area is actually partially our property, a little bit of our property, but so this is Emery's Island. McMaster Road is right here. This is the parking lot for the trailhead. They're looking at this. Most of this is Irving property, so we'd have to reach out to Irving to see if they're amenable to planting trees on that property. The next piece of property is in the CC. That's beyond our control, but I believe Councillor McIver has been facilitating some discussion on that work at NSCC. Back to our property, this is the Oakley ball field. So three areas around Oakley. So one in the back area, this is the trails area. One in the, off our parking lot in this area. The other area is on the other side of the trails. So this is, the fish ladder is here, and that's the start of the trails opposite Oakley Field. The other area is by the Dan Willie McDonald Field. So that's an area, obviously there's some things that happen there. So there's a walkway, so tournaments and other activities, people park in this parking lot and they walk. This is the main access route to the field, other than the parking behind the field. So this is an area adjacent to the Dan Willie McDonald ball field. And those are the areas for consideration, so just ask for any discussion.
And are those areas like flexible as well in terms of, just, I guess, assessing the viability of where trees can go, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, it's on the council property, it's council's decision whether you wish to do that, and there's some discussion as well on the types of trees.
Sure.
There's no requirement for the town to participate financially. This is a completely sponsored by governments.
Okay, perfect. We can start with Deputy Mayor Mackay. What's on it?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I think it's a good project. I like the idea of the Prince Street Park with the coasting, just to maybe a little more information on it, how wide. It would be nice to enhance it a little more for coasting and promote it as a winter sport. So that's good. And with NSCC, there was a lot of discussion about it and everything, and they're on side with it and would like to have meetings, I think, about it to just know exactly what's going to happen. So other than that, I think it's good.
Okay. Councillor Flynn?
Through your worship, I'm looking at the Oakley ball field section. So the middle section that they have highlighted in front of our parking lot, or at the opening of our parking lot at that field, I don't know that area will work with the development that's going to be coming through there this year. The AT Trail.
AT Trail. I guess that'll have to be.
And the Dan Willie Field, we just went and ditched out a whole bunch of trees and made a good drainage ditch there. Just put in new drainage off the field. I have some concern with putting trees back there with roots going into the drainage, or potentially stopping the drainage that we just put in. I wouldn't say no to any trees there, but that's a pretty big area of what we just spent some money on cleaning up.
Yeah, so maybe if there's trees placed there, just be strategic about where they can go, so it doesn't, so it's not counteractive to that work.
And I do wonder, through you to Terry, is there options that we could take some of these trees and put them elsewhere, like possibly very recent future developments?
Yeah, no, I think there's still options for I haven't met directly with the Green Foundation. They've been meeting with the Trails Committee, but that committee has been kind of desperately looking at I shouldn't say desperately, but wanting the program to succeed and looking at all areas of town. So if there's another area of town that could utilize trees, I think they'd be more than happy to look at that.
Great.
So I think this evening is about at least having some buy-in from council to participate in this program, and some of those locations can be fine-tuned. So Councilor Doolan.
Yes, Your Worship, thank you. Through you, to Terry, or to the rest of the council, I guess. First of all, I agree with the principle of it, but there is some issues, I think. One is that Councillor Coyne said, the drainage, and that anytime you have trees, the roots, you heard of roots going into people's weeded tile and that, and digging roots out, this eventually, it might not happen overnight, but eventually it will happen. I'd like to know the type of trees would be good, would be an asset. As far as the Oakley field goes, I'm not sure where they're going, but we were trying to get some trees cut down there so that
To enhance.
the manor could, at one time, used to be able to sit there and watch the ball games, now they can't. So we were trying to cut some trees on that side of the ball field. And in terms of maintenance, is this going to be an issue for mowing and different things, especially around the park / ball field areas? And as far as Prince Street Park goes, that's a tough enough area to mow in the best times, but I like the idea, and I wouldn't support it if you didn't leave that spot for the kids for their coasting.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Councillor McCrory.
So I think it's a fantastic idea. I think to have trees in the community is good for the environment. And the issues already raised, I'm not going to repeat them, I agree with them too. Except for the comment that Councillor McDougall made about maintenance, because that was one thing. I mean, it's a significant number of trees, which is fantastic. Prince Street, we're talking about 900 trees, and I'm wondering how we're going to cut grass around them. Not that that's a disincentive to it, but is that a realistic?
You're not.
Mm.
That's the whole idea of the trees.
That's the purpose.
Become forest.
Right, becomes
It's
forest.
a Prince Street forest.
Well,
They are important considerations before some of those locations, I guess, get solidified. For sure. Any additional comments? So I guess some of the questions that we would have would be type of trees that I think is something that can be, I guess, hashed out through the continued planning. Is council comfortable, I guess, tentatively, with identifying the concerns addressed here this evening? Is council feeling that we can move it forward for support pending those issues that we outlined?
I'd like to see it move forward.
Okay.
I think it's a fantastic project. I think in principle, I can support it with some discussion with council.
Tweaking it.
Yeah.
And Deputy Mayor, you're good? Moving
Yes,
forward?
Your Worship, I'm good with moving it forward. Hopefully some of the tree species would include banana, maybe.
Of course.
That'd be
Or-
nice.
Of course. Would you like also coconut trees?
Palm trees.
Palm trees. And so we do have our next item, future meetings. So we do, I guess what I would like to ask council, since our next public meeting is June 4th, we know that we're going to have a public meeting on June 18th to accommodate second readings. Would council be, I guess, in agreement to have a joint meeting of both committee of the whole and public meeting for the 18th and forgo the June 4th meeting?
Yes.
So is council okay with that idea? And I know there are several of our council will be traveling for FCM that week, so it'll be a busy week. Probably a good meeting to forgo.
I don't mind
No objection to that idea?
No.
Okay, perfect, we will do that. Thank you, council, and a motion of adjournment.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, meeting is adjourned.